In the case of Mongolia and Tibet, our native heritage is Buddhism. We are followers of the Buddha. It is our religious tradition in which we have been raised by our parents, so it is important that we preserve our native religious heritage.
Buddhism has traveled from India, Tibet, Mongolia, China, and Southeast Asia around the world to our doorstep. Buddhism has flourished here, while in its homelands this rich heritage is under threat of being lost.
Today in Europe, America, and around the world, there is a great desire to study Buddhism because it's understood how Buddha's teachings are so relevant and important. But here in Mongolia, there is very little Buddhism left.
After 70 years of Soviet domination and religious suppression, Mongolia became the first nation to regain independence. The revival of Mongolia's Buddhist heritage is a symbol of hope to those countries still under siege. But this road to revival is not an easy one. As early as the 3rd century BC, evidence of Buddhism was present in Mongolia. Buddhism grew in popularity, becoming the official Mongolian state religion in the 1500s, when the Alten Khan conferred the title Dalai Lama on the visiting Tibetan Lama Sonam Gyatso. This began the lineage of Dalai Lama as it is known today. For centuries, Mongolia was a leader in Buddhist culture, excelling in art, philosophy, and science. In the 1920s, the 8th Jetsun Dempa, temporal and secular leader of Mongolia, accepted Russian military support in an effort to gain freedom from China. By the 1930s, Mongolia was under complete Soviet control and suffered violent purges in every aspect of the culture. Over 60,000 monks, nuns, and scholars were killed or incarcerated. All but 3 of the 700 monasteries were destroyed.
These were very black days in Mongolian history because these statues and tongas were collected for centuries. They were the zenith of Mongolian art. They represented the Mongolians' development of devotion and their way of relating to spiritual things. This flourishing of art and of Mongolian culture were destroyed completely.
In
1937, during the political repression, I was 24 years old. At that time, there were 700 monasteries and temples, but within 2 years, all but 3 of the monasteries were completely destroyed. This is a picture of my guru. This picture was taken just before his execution. He was executed October 25, 1937.
In 1989, after 70 years of Soviet domination, Mongolia became the first nation to peacefully adopt a democratic government. With change came economic crisis and a spiritual void, giving rise to serious social problems, including alcoholism and homelessness. The face of Mongolia today. Population 2.4 million people in an area twice the size of Texas, between Russia and China. 20% of the population is nomadic herding families. 70% is under 30 years of age. Over 50% of the population is under 15 years of age. 30% of the population lives in Ulaanbaatar, the capital city. 80% of the urban population has television. The new government adopted a policy of religious tolerance. Hundreds of missionaries came to Mongolia using tactics similar to the Soviet regime, portraying Buddhism as old-fashioned and superstitious. Using 24-hour tele-evangelism and offers of money and trips to the West, Christian missionaries have succeeded in converting more than 50% of the Mongolian population under the age of 25. The leading threat to the survival of Mongolia's Buddhist heritage is the lack of support for proper Buddhist education.
There has been a great deal of degeneration of Buddhism in Mongolia, and so for this reason, it's especially important for the people of Mongolia to study Buddhism, to really learn it well.
At the suggestion of His Holiness the Dalai Lama, Lama Zopa Rinpoche accepted an invitation to visit Mongolia to meet with Bakala Rinpoche and Prime Minister Enkbayar. The purpose of the visit was to determine the best way to help the Mongolian people rekindle their Buddhist heritage. Lama Zopa Rinpoche committed to several projects, including the creation of a 26-part educational television series. The series, Preserving Mongolian Culture, Buddhism, follows the Lamrim teachings of Gesung Kapa and is now airing on Mongolian state television to over 250,000 people each week. For the first time, Buddhism is available to the masses. The response has been overwhelmingly positive. In the year 2000, an FPMT center was established in Ulaanbaatar. Resident monks give Dharma talks twice a week to over 100 students. Special classes and computer training in English language are available to physically challenged students. Lama Zopa Rinpoche visited Mongolia a second time, giving teachings and initiations at Gandan Monastery, as well as visiting prisons and orphanages in the area. Historically, Mongolian women have never been supported in their Dharma practice. A small, dedicated group of women who are struggling under very hard conditions requested that Lama Zopa Rinpoche be their spiritual guide. Rinpoche accepted, and efforts are being made to establish a nunnery for them and a proper Buddhist education. The FPMT is also assisting in the reclamation of the Sera Monastery in Mongolia by helping raise funds for a new prayer hall.
I think the main thing in the world and in life is the peace and happy life. So I think the Buddhism is the right way to reach this goal.
Buddhism is in the heart of every aspect of Mongolian culture. The revival of this precious heritage is vital to the future peace and happiness of Mongolia and of Buddhism worldwide. It is a time of great need and of greater promise as Mongolia embraces its history and establishes a clear path to liberation for the future.
Personally, I feel it's time for us to pay back Mongolians for what they have done in the past to contribute to the flourishing of Buddhism in the world.